another beautiful, beautiful sunny day. This is now the classic Tokyo winter that I remember from years ago. Day after day, the beautiful sunny weather. We haven't seen a flake of snow this year yet here in Tokyo. Not a flake. There's an abandoned bicycle. That's unusual. I'm not sure what it is. I know. Microphone there. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now? Thank you guys. Sorry about that. It was a rush actually to get here this morning. I didn't sleep in. I got up normally at 6 o'clock, got the paper out, then just relaxed, read some news, relaxed, read some news. I had lots of time left, no problem. And I got to about half an hour ago or so, 7:30 or something. I think, oh, okay, I got to get the show and tell. So let's head to the shelves. I think, what should we do for today's show and tell? What have I done? What haven't I done? I pull this out. And I found a book and I thought, I should talk about this. Let's do a bit of research first. Googled up and I forgot the time. And then look at, oh my God, it's 5 to 8. What am I going to do? I still don't have the name of this book. So it's been a panic to get here this morning. So I left the book and just grabbed something else off the shelf for the show and tell. So somebody's messages are being held for bad language. So let's do this. It's going to be carving this morning, just the same old normal carving. We do have a show and tell, something I picked up. We may have seen it before, maybe not. I can't remember. We've been doing this for 3 years now, so it's possible it'll be a repeat. I don't know. The paper is out. Yes, I did that this morning, straight away, 6 o'clock. Today it's for Ayumi-san. She's working on, she just finished the April print of the Japan Journey series, and today she's making paper wet for a new batch of the Kamigamo Shrine print, one of the Doi Hanga blocks, the old Doi Hanga blocks. That's all today. There'll be 3 printers tomorrow, but it's just Ayumi-san today. Tomorrow it'll be Suga-san. She's finishing off that first batch of the yokai, the calamity prints. Ishikawa-san's working on another batch of the umbrella print because they're almost sold out already after last week's announcement. Let's get this lined up. We're going to be carving here, so that means get the camera here. But what I didn't get done, unfortunately, is I didn't get the garbage out again this morning. I should have done it last night, but blame everybody else. Nobody reminded me last night, so whatever. We got stickers. We've got tons of garbage. We've got tons of stickers, but I just forgot to put it all together last night. And it's funny, too. I had a peaceful evening, nothing to do evening, so I could have done it. But yes, it is indeed a mist sweater. It is indeed. It's a gift from Jed. Jed Henry sent it to me as a Christmas present a couple of years ago. He had heard me talking about the game. We played it when it was a game. The knife is sharp at the moment. It's super sharp again because I did more chiritori yesterday. I had a batch of prints. I had to take some surgery on them. So to do the surgery, I sharpened the knife. Actually, it's a bit too sharp for this carving now. It is wicked sharp, but we'll see. It'll work fine. Okay, let's do a bit of carving. So, I had a couple of notes, things I was supposed to ask about today. I know one I forgot. Mr. Flyfish, is he here today? I don't see a name here. I just got here. Okay. I know the paper. You asked me, you sent me an email the other day about the prints you got on super thin paper. It was you, right? Am I misremembering? Somebody sent me an email about some prints on thin paper. And I myself, I've never seen any of her prints. I know, maybe you could, do you tell first what happens? Yeah. I'm not sure how much is okay to talk about, so... I guess it's okay, right? I know the gentleman here got some prints from somewhere, some Helen Hyde prints. These are really quite rare. I don't have any. I've never actually ever held any, never seen any. There were a number of Westerners, Americans mostly, mucking with printmaking about 100 years ago in the early part of the 1900s. And the lady Helen Hyde was one of them, having prints made by craftsmen to her designs. And this was in the era when there were still things like couchier prints being made. And it seems, going by the description he has mentioned in his email, that the prints are on super thin paper, almost like the gampi paper that we use for the transfers. And going by the description, it sounds like that's the same kind of workshop then that would have been making the couchier prints, because they were made on an astonishingly thin paper. It's not gampi, but it's that same kind of thinness. So going by the description you mentioned in your email to me, it sounds like they would have been made in one of those workshops. And I am quite curious. I'd love to be able to see these, but I've never had the chance. So that stuff's outside of my pay level. No, so I meant to mention that. There was an attachment in the email. It was a Windat clump, but it wouldn't open for me. I tried this, I tried that, and I couldn't open the attachment at all. All I know is that there's something in there. You mentioned that there was images of the prints. So I'm sorry, I haven't seen anything here. And the best way to send it through to me, just take the images, whatever, just zip them up into a package, and then just send the package, But the one you sent seems to be something win.dat, and I wasn't able to open anything. I'm sorry. These days, usually it's not so bad, between computers, but this one wouldn't happen for me. And I tried different ways to do it, but. Difficult part of the wood here, just right by the face, wouldn't you know it? The grain is really obstreperous here. We've talked about this block before. It's a bit of the grain goes both ways, because it's it must have been a wavy part of the wood, so you get grain going both ways. And right near the face is where I don't want that kind of trouble, but here it is. So. It won't carve this way at all. The chisel just digs straight down. Even if I apply good pressure, keep it low, it won't carve at all this way. It just chips. The lines should be okay though. Whatever. Bunch of visitors, do we? Bunch of visitors. So for those pictures, if you send them again to me, then I'll put, if it's okay with you, we can show them. Then I'll put it somewhere where everybody on the stream can see it. And then tomorrow or next time, we'll have a look at it together, if that's okay with you then. I should have just sent you an email about that. I'm sorry. Excuse me. There's the but. Oh, you've linked it now. Oy, 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 oy. Ito na eh. I'm not getting a... Please log in to see this image. Sorry. Whatever. I'll muck up with it later. I can't seem to see it unless I'm logged in. I don't know with that account, so... Okay, there's the image, is it? Okay, hey. Oh, this one. Yeah. Famous. Famous. My God, that must have cost you $1 or two. Wow. Wow. How many impressions? No idea. No idea. Also, I'm not sure if that's 100% woodblock, you know. It could be one of those that's collotype base, the key block in collotype, with the colors done as woodblock. I don't know. Could be either way. Spectacular stuff. My God, did you mortgage your house for that? Fabulous stuff. So that's on that super thin paper, is it? It would make sense because it has the appearance of the kind of print that was made right back in that era, the prints for the Coutier. So I would guess it's on the same kind of paper then, if that's going by your description. What a spectacular piece. Wow. I didn't realize we were talking to Mr. Bill Gates here. Fabulous print, nay. There's a group of people, women, a group of women actually from overseas, mostly America, some from Britain, who were hanging around here in that era, the late 1800s, early 1900s. Helen Hyde, Bertha Lum, Elizabeth Keith, and they had a mix. Some of them had their work done by professional craftsmen. Some tried to do it by themselves. Some did both. Helen Hyde, to my knowledge, wasn't trying to actually make prints herself. She was a designer and hired the workshops or to make the prints for her. Bertha Lum, I believe, did both. Elizabeth Keith tried one or two by herself, and for the rest used the workshops, Watanabe's workshop and some other workshops. And a bunch of very interesting prints made during that era, you know. I'll never own one, but whatever. While we've got the knife in this sort of super sharp condition, it's a good idea. Let's do this eye now. You know. Normally, for fun, I usually save the eyes and stuff to the end, but The knife is in a wonderful condition. The block's here. Let's just do this. Somebody, I think this is not a real thing, but somebody, one of the carvers or somebody was, I think, pulling my leg one day with this. That, maybe I had asked, what do you do first? When you're carving a block, what do you do first, and what do you save for the end, and stuff like this. And there really is no specific order. Asuka-san here, carving in Tokyo, he just says, I start somewhere around the center of the surface area. It's not a question of what part of the design you start carving. He starts, as he said, somewhere on the center of the surface area and generally works outwards. Dave here has just been doing it sort of zone by zone. I do a flower, a leaf, this and that, and work my way physically across the surface. But so there's no specific rule, but somewhere along the line, and I'm not really sure how well I remember this, somebody had said, but you always save the eyes for the last. And I'm almost certain they were pulling my leg, And the idea being that the superstitious idea is that you carve this thing, and then at the moment you put the eyes in, that's when it comes alive. And that's the sort of thing I would imagine a painter would be saying or something, even in the West, not just in Japan, You carve everything else, and at the last minute, pop, pop, you put the eyes in, and the painting starts to look at you, whatever. But there might be a more practical reason for that. In my case, I'm not a full-time carver these days, of course. And even before I had Mokuhankan, I wasn't a full-time carver. I would do the carving and the printing. So I've been printing away on a set of blocks, printing them all, and during the couple of weeks it takes to make a series of prints, a set of prints, a batch of prints, the edge disappears from your carving skills. So when it's time to put the printing tools away and come back to do some more carving, I'm rusty from a couple of weeks of this, Speaking about back in the days when I was just doing this all the time. So for me it was common sense. Whenever I started a new block, I wouldn't start with something visible and visual and critical. I'd start at some, like I did here, in the middle of this flower, where it doesn't make any difference if your line is wiggly or not wiggly. And then after the week or 2 weeks or whatever of doing the carving, you're back in shape again. So then, carve the critical parts, the face, the eyes, stuff like that. So for me, as a matter of routine, I always save the eyes for the end. Not for any mystical, it's going to come alive, but just simply that's when I was in my best condition, And these days I'm never in best condition. I only carve a couple of minutes a week, Chon-san, our other young carver, a young man from Hong Kong, he was over last night. We're planning the coming up jobs and stuff like this. And I'm at the moment carving this one. This is number 5, the May print in this year's series. And he's carving number 4, the April print. And the printers are waiting. They're waiting for him now to get finished. So he hopefully will be finished in a couple of days. He used the workbench upstairs here last night. The place where he lives, it's a small apartment, and he can't make a lot of noise there. So he can do this kind of carving work there, but he can't do the banging, persuading, clearing work. So he comes here to do that. So that's what he was here for yesterday, do a few hours work on the clearing. And we were chatting about the coming up prints. Like I said, he's almost finished 4. I am partway through number 5. And we got to get organized on the next ones, 6, 7, and 8, and how they're going to go. And 6 is going to be carved by Kawasaki-san, our young lady in Kobe. She did number 3, and she'll be doing number 6. And he brought last night the tracing, a print out of the tracing, to show me, to get my approval if it's okay. And Rei-chan, his partner, the young girl from Hong Kong, has been working on the tracing from her hotel room in Hong Kong. I mentioned before, she's gone back to Hong Kong for a while. There's an illness in her family, so she's got to go and be back there for a while, a serious illness in her family. And she had to do 3 weeks, literal 3 weeks in a hotel room in Hong Kong. And that just finished last Sunday. But while she's been in the hotel room, she's been tracing. She's got her computer there, I think, a pad or a computer. I'm not sure which tool she uses to do this. But she's been doing the tracing on that print number 6. And she's been working on and off on it for the past 3 weeks from her hotel room. So, and she's out now. She's out with her family. So the quarantine is over for her. 3 full weeks. But she's kept busy, so she may have been gone stir crazy in there. I don't know, but it's okay. She's been busy for us. So. And it looks good. She's done. She's gone overboard. She's just traced it to a level beyond belief. And we are really not going to be able to carve all the things that she's traced. Some of these designs in this series this year, we've shrunk them from the original. And when there's like 10 hairs in a specific space, you can't shrink it because the wood just doesn't work if it was carved really delicately in the first place. So you take those 10 hairs and cut it down to 8 hairs or 7 or 6 or whatever. But she's gone overboard. She's traced the thing at the original hair count and stuff. And we won't be able to carve it exactly as it appears there. But okay, there's an eye. It might need some trimming later on the pupil. I can't tell right now. All I can do is cut where I think the edges of the line are, but we won't really know until we do a test printing. Looks okay so far. Is the audio lower than normal? The mic is here. The setting is the same number that I usually keep it at. Am I speaking? I don't know. The fan is running, I'm not quite sure why. The computer fan is really quite overloading. Let's have a look if I get something else in the background. Hang on one sec. One sec. Activity monitor. What else is going on the machine here? OBS says 235% of CPU kernel tasks. Something is going on in the background. Something else is going on in the background. It might be that auction page I just visited. No idea. Let's kill the browser in the background here. We'll see. The fan noise may decrease. I've shut the browser down behind it. So, somebody from Venezuela. Thank you, all over the world. Hey, soca. When I get rid of the little bits of wood, doesn't it damage the delicately carved lines? Not sure what you're asking. I know the knife cut the line, then I worked with the other tools in between. I'm really careful not to hit the edges of these carved lines, absolutely. Absolutely. Once the line is carved, it's no touch. One thing that I did get in trouble with when I was younger, absolutely, I was a bit, whatever. I would use the chisel like this, and when you're scooping out inside, sometimes I'd do it like this. I'd scoop here, and it would turn out that the back of the chisel was banging on the edge of the line. And I didn't sort of realize it at the time. When you scoop down like this, the back of the chisel can sometimes hit those lines. So if you're not aware of that, that's a problem. But these days, it took me a while to learn my lesson, but I did. I did learn it. Once you're carved, these lines are non-touched, you know. There was another funny experience yesterday, whatever, slightly funny. A phone call had come in a few days ago, and I didn't catch it. Aoyama-san must have caught the phone call, and it was a request from a reporter for an interview from us, and Aoyama-san forgot to mention it to me. So no big deal. I hadn't known about this, and whatever. I guess what had happened, the reporter had called, can we have an interview? And Aoyama-san had said, oh, okay, Dave's not here right now, I'll check with him later and we'll get back to you. Then he had forgotten about it, and we didn't get back to the guy. So he phoned yesterday afternoon, this reporter, and I happened to pick up the call. And because I didn't know the background here, it was a bizarre phone call. He's asking and saying, about their interview, is this okay or is it not okay? What's going on? Are we going to be able to talk to Dave? And I'm like, actually, this is Dave here, how you doing? Hello, what do you want? And he said, well, about the interview, is it okay? I'm like, at this point, I don't know what this is going on here, but it becomes clear that I am out of a loop that already exists. And Aoyama-san also was here, and he then put two and two together, and he's making gestures to me at the side of the table to try and, with gestures, give me this information that it's a repeated call. And I'm in the middle of this not knowing what's going on. So whatever, it all became obvious after a minute what had happened, and I apologized for the fact we didn't get back to him, and away it went. So we started from square one. He then makes his pitch to me. Is it okay if we come and chat with you? And I'm like, at this point, well, maybe remind me again, like, because I'm not in the loop here, who are you, And he says, okay, I'm sorry. So he mentions his name, and then he says he's from the Toyo Keizai, and this is a magazine here. It's a magazine in Japanese, kind of like The Economist over in Britain. It's a general affairs magazine with a strong bent towards business issues and financial world issues and stuff like that. But it's a general interest thing. There's political news and other news and whatever, this and that. And the funny thing is that as soon as he mentioned that, I said, oh, yeah, okay, I remember that. I don't remember the reporter's name. And now he is like, well, what's going on? What do you mean? And I said, well, you've already done an interview with me just a while ago. And now he's not panicking, but he's thinking, actually, well, now what's going on? Well, what's the story here? Because he must have, been assigned to do this or whatever. And maybe he's thinking over there in the magazine, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing and stuff like this. So he starts to ask me for more details about this. And I said, yeah, I don't remember the exact date, whatever, but yeah, I've been interviewed for your magazine a while ago, And I said a while ago because I really didn't remember when. So whatever, long story short, we end up looking this up. I've got it on my website, the interview, and it turns out that it's 1993 when I was on there. So I remember the magazine's name, but I don't remember the reporter's name. This is 1993. They interviewed me. And he sits there and he says, I wasn't born. Like, how should he remember that? So it's clear. I know sometimes with magazines and reporters, you don't want to be in the same newspaper on page 7 and page 14 at the same time, but they've got so many departments, this sort of thing sometimes happens. So we laughed about this. He said, I think it's perhaps okay. I don't think we have too many readers who are going to remember that this is a repeat, So they're coming next week. They're coming on Wednesday, a reporter and a photographer. They're going to chat about this and that. And what they want for information, this isn't a follow-up story because they didn't remember that they'd already talked to me. They're doing a series on how businesses are being affected by the virus. So that's going to be his main thrust. He's going to ask us questions about what we're doing, what we do here, what our markets are and stuff like that, and then how are we handling the virus situation. And that's fine. We'll just tell them. We have no secrets here. We'll tell them exactly what's going on. I'll show them the graphs and charts. We have 3 parts to our business. One part has been destroyed, annihilated, may never come back. We don't know. And the other 2 parts have compensated. So. No. Don't mention chat or we're doomed. It won't be like that. I know publicity, it's funny. I know it'll mean nothing. There will be a blip. Some people will read it and it'll be forgotten by the world. The magazine stories, we stopped keeping clippings a long time ago. 20 years ago I stopped keeping clippings. But before we stopped keeping clippings, whatever, we've been in magazines 300, 400, 500 times. I don't know. Just an incredible number of times during the years when I was quasi-famous here back in the late 1990s and around to the turn of the millennium. And it's nothing. No, but it doesn't change your life. It doesn't affect anything, Things like magazine stories and the newspaper stories are just nothing. They come and they go, they come and they go. So we'll do the interview, we'll answer the questions, say hello, sit for pictures, the story will come out, and that's it. Nothing will happen, so. The previous interview I did with them, it's on our website, because what I used to do in the years when that sort of thing was a regular thing for us, I scanned the stories all and put them on the website. So it's on our website. If you go to it's in my own personal website, woodblock.com. If you went to the press section, there's a section called the Woodblock Shimbun, the Woodblock newspaper. And I used to scan and put online the different stories and photographs and stuff that came up about us. And this one from the Toyo Keisai, it's probably not on the English website because it's just a Japanese story, but it'll be on the Japanese side of the press page. A 2-page story with a dorky little photograph of Dave 25 years ago. It's coming on. This is such pleasant work, such pleasant work. Did the internet exist in 1993? I came on in 1996 is when I started. The first website I made would be late 1996 or the spring of 1997. I can't remember exactly. And then we got woodblock.com that year. I mean, I've been on the net since before Google and stuff, whatever, What are you guys talking about now? Usenet. You guys are going back in time. My God. The guy who's outside the picture there, the closest one, I really should take the trouble to look it up and see who he is, Each of those pictures has an explanation panel below it. So all those pictures outside, the name and the capsule biography of the people are on the light post with them. So I should take the trouble to go out there and see who that guy is and link to him or whatever. I don't think there'd be an English Wikipedia page, but there'd be a Japanese page. So, we should at least do him the politeness of finding out who he is watching over our stream every day. So. About the carving motor, start with the hard part so you can mess up if you start fresh. Boy, oh boy, that's the printer's approach. Absolutely, that's the printer's approach. And you've got, for example, a bijinga, a woman picture with a face and a kimono with 50 colors and all that sort of stuff, and then eyebrows and blah, blah, blah. When you're printing those, absolutely do the key block, and then you put in stuff like the eyes first, the most delicate parts. There's no way you want to spend days and days work doing 50 kimono colors and then screwing it up by putting the eye in crooked. So for the printer, it's absolutely difficult parts first. For that reason I just mentioned, you don't want to waste your time, but also for the idea that when you're doing those 50 kimono colors, some of them deep, some of them rich, the paper can get stretched and this sort of. So you want the paper in its early, non-stretched, pristine, before it gets beaten up condition to do those eyes and eyebrows and other delicate parts that might be more difficult. So printers, difficult parts first, easy parts later. For the carver, as I said, my own approach absolutely is to do the difficult parts last. To come at it straight away, get a fresh block, do it, paste it down and start carving the eyes. Man, I don't know, no way, Then the idea that, well, if you mess it up, you can start again, well, we don't sort of actually do that, so I don't know. With the printer, any given sheet gets thrown away. If the eyeball is crooked on one sheet, you toss that sheet away and you keep going. So you've got an attrition. You start with 100 sheets of paper, and how many will you end up with, A typical count for a printer is if you are aiming for 100 sheets with a typical design, you will put, if you're aiming for 100, you put 110 sheets or so in to start with, typically. But for a carver, there's no second go. You've got your piece of wood, you put it on your desk, and you start carving, A chip or a pop or a nick, of course, we've talked about this many times. You can replace those, But the idea of starting again, I don't know. I mean, I've done it. That old Kuche story. After finishing carving, the block got destroyed through part of the process of duplication, and I had to recarve it again. But recarving because of a carving mistake, I don't know. It's just your life. I mean, it's your life. It's like a musician or something. You get up on stage and there's no redos. You just get up and do your job. It's one aspect of our work. I know someone like a musician, whatever, a violin player in an orchestra, whatever. He's got his actual job. He goes Thursday night to the concert hall, they play their concert, people clap and go home. And then the violin player, before he goes to the concert hall, he'll get his violin out and he'll practice, do some scales, warm it up, practice. So for him, he's got something called practice and something called performance, and the two things are different. But for someone in a job like this, in a manufacturing job like this, there isn't any practice. There was when you were younger and first picking up the blade and learning how to do this. The stuff you were making wasn't going to be sold. But once you do it as a job, then that's it. There is no more practice. I wouldn't be at home practicing sharpening, then upstairs, and then come down to the workshop and do the real sharpening. It doesn't make any sense, Excuse me, unusual, ne? Excuse me. もしもし、デイビッドです。はい、どうもおはようございます。はい、今日休みでしょ？
違うんですけど、ちょっと教祭の作品のことで気になったことがあって。
教祭、交流祭。交流祭ですね。はい、申し訳ない。はい。
で、2月分をの時に2枚抜いたっていうメモがあったじゃないですか。デイビッドさんの方で2枚抜きましたっ
はい。はい。僕抜けたんですね。そうそう。多めに送る前。はい。そうですね。はい。はい。そう、僕忘れちゃったんですよ。全然抜けてないです。だから今、そうですから今僕の机の上にすぐさんが吸ったものあります。今日多めに発送する考えあったんです。今日か明日送ります。ですぐさんの分から私が1枚抜く予定です。これからメモ書きますが、それから後で多めが私のために1枚送る予定ありますから、じゃあレイちゃんのものから送ってください。もしまだだから私これからすぐさんのものから1枚私がこれから盗みますね、抜きます。でもう1枚欲しいんですね。
いやだから先月は2枚って言ったじゃないですか。でさらにデイビッドさん用にも1枚送ってあるはずなんです先月の。
だから多め送らなくても大丈夫ですね。はい。
だから、今回はデイビッドさん用のはもうじゃあいらない。
まあどっちかデイビッドの用と木版館用か。そうですね。だけど1枚だけです。
デイビッドさん用に1枚抜いてて、
そうですね。はい。
先月のがさらに2枚抜いたから。
そうですね。そうなぜか先月ちょっと特別なケースでした。なぜかレイちゃんのものと石川さんのものが結構大きな違いがあったんです。だから僕両方その見本が欲しかったんですね。そう申し訳ないですが、そうですね。大丈夫ですよ。はい。
石川さんのなのか。
でもし残ったらだけど。
デイビッドさんのもう用意してあるんですよ実は昨日。
そうですか。そうか。そうですね。だから僕は今度の数理師に話すときにレイちゃんのものがいい見本になりますから、今ちょっと将来の話ですが、
レイちゃんのに差し替えた方がいいです。
そうですね。今回大きな違いあったんですから、そう。はい。まあなかったら申し訳ないんですが、あったら。
あります。
OK、はい。
じゃあ明日確認します。
OK、はい。
まだ
はい、大丈夫。
2月からやったじゃないですかそれ。2月からやったよね。
はい。
ってことは1月はどうするっていうこと？
全然問題ない。だから僕ここでさっきのチェックするときにいろんな不要品もありますしとか点になりますとか、よく私はこの中からいつも抜きますね。でも多めに言えなくても OK です。なぜか不要品の中からです。そうですね。そうです。よくありますよ。で全然問題ない。そうです。多分いらないです。問題ないです。はい。いらないです。はい。
仕上がりのあれも関係ない。
ないですね。全然関係ありません。はい。
わかりました。じゃあ、抜いたら抜いたって書いておいてください。いっぱい抜いたって。絶対にアクリ枚数の計算が。
そうですね。そう。だから僕抜くと書きますよ。いつも。はい。
じゃあわかりました。じゃあ今月のはじゃあそういう感じ
ですね。お願いします。はい。じゃあちょっと反対に私が石上さんに質問ありますが、工事はどうですか？水道工事とか下水工事です。
下水箱の、あれはだから来て、全部埋めてったんですけど、その後になんかやっぱりまだ、
ありますね。そう下水直す必要ありますみたい。そう。
それはなんかまだ使徒とやり取りして。
そうか。OK。じゃあ今駐車場が使える形になりました？OK。じゃああまり問題ない。OK。じゃあ次の工事まで待つじゃないですね。はい。OK。はい、わかりました。じゃあまだ土が取ってやるとか分からなかったんですが。OK。はい。そう。はい。うん。送料が安い。
エアメールよりもちょっとね安いんですよ送料。
ちょっと半額1枚送るため、一番安い送料がエアメールでしょ。
いやエアメールね
半額は1枚でしょ。
なると、そうそう、エアメールは本当になんていうの、封書、お手紙用の送料だから、お手紙サイズだと安い。
はいはい、だから半額クラブ1枚でしょ。
ちょっと超えると、お手紙サイズよりちょっと大きいじゃないですか、半額クラブ。
定型外でしょ。
そう、定型外。そうなるとね、ちょっと高くなるんです、実は。
320円1枚。エアメールです。かな？
でまだね、話があって、今のところはね、今この2月とか3月の段階では、エアメールの方がちょっと高い。だけど、今度アメリカが4月から送料が改定になるんです。
はい、ありますね。はいはい。
で、そうするとエアメールの方が送料が安くなるんです。だから4月からはエアメールの方が安いんですけど、ただここで一つ問題があって、今コロナの関係で急になんだろう、ストップになったりするじゃないですか、郵便が。受け入れ拒否になったりとかするでしょ。
国ごとに、はい
国によって、
はいはいはい。
その時に返金作業っていうのがあるじゃないですか。
はいはいはい。
お金が戻ってくる。
はいはい。
返してもらえる。あれがこれから切手だと返さなくなるんですよ。確か。新しいシステムだと返金。
浅草にその経験があったんですから、戻ったもの、僕来て貼って出します。それから戻ってくる。そのまま。私が OK になると、また郵便局行って説明して、向こうが預かったんです。前の規定そのまま預かったんですよ。規定の上にスタンプしてあっても預かったんです。それ問題ないです。だからお金の返金必要ないです。だから戻ったものがもう一回出すことそのままは可能です。今西浅草で。
でも方面っていうかコロナ関係でストップした時は返金作業っていうのがあって返金はしてますよ。ストップにしてくださいっていうのが言ってるんだけど、それが切手で出した場合は今度からサポートしなくなりますって言われたんです。
石上さん、今本当に私は今ちょっとライブ放送中ですね。今Twitch のストリームですね。この電話で今みんなが私の顔に見て話のだけど申し訳ない。ちょっといいですか。じゃああとカメランと私といいですか。申し訳ないですか。もうみんな今チャットの中に笑ってますから申し訳ないです。OK はい。じゃあこれから話しますから申し訳ない。ありがとうございます。はいどうも。Thank you。はいはいはい。Thank you。I'm sorry about that. I had to just stop her and tell her what's going on. It looked like it's not going to end, you know. Different, whatever. It's Ishigami-san, one of our ladies in Ome who sends stuff out, so. Here's a delivery. Well, today is a mechakucha day, so what's happening now? I don't have my mask. Oh, God. どうもお願いします。千春さんからでしょう。Yes, yes. Good. よかった。河合さんから。ありがとうございます。どうも、Thank you. 河合千春さんからですね。そう。This is what's in the box. It's from one of our printers in Nagano. She's making, I don't remember, it's GJ3 or something like this. I don't remember. What a day today. So talking about the phone. Someone's asking about the phone. This is what I want. I do not want a thing. I do not want a smartphone. For a few reasons. Actually, I do have a phone. The only people who know the number for this are our staff. And they're all under instructions like, don't call Dave. Dave doesn't like using the phone. Dave doesn't like talking on the phone. Especially in Japanese, seeing people's face helps me make a conversation. I don't like phones, period. Never have done. So I avoid them wherever possible. Nobody out there knows my phone number, and they're not going to be able to phone me, and I don't want that. Then why don't I want a smartphone? It's just distractive. If I were around town every day and jumping on the train, and I got to go here and I got to go there, and traveling, and yeah, of course, that's such a super thing to have. I get it. There's a wonderful benefit in those things. having all these maps and stuff and train schedules in your pocket. That's real cool. But I don't go anywhere. I just, sit here and do my stuff. And the distraction would be just unbearable. I already spend too much time on the computer, and the last thing I want is another one in my pocket to help, nibble at my mental distraction. So for me, rather than try and use it carefully, for me it's just easier. I do not want one of those things. That's all there is to it, And it matches, because the way I myself use social media, the only social media I use here is, what's the word? I don't know, long-term. There's long-term social media, like YouTube, which we do. We curate videos, carefully make them, get it ready, finish it, package it, and put it there for people to look at for a long, long, long period of time. The short-term, ephemeral social media, Twitter, Facebook to the most large degree, I don't know. This stuff, for me, I just have no interest in that. So having a phone in my pocket, there's just nothing I'm going to do with it, really. It's not because I'm a Luddite. It's not because I'm an old dude who doesn't get it. It's simply, I don't want that particular product close to me, Anyway, I apologize for the long call. I thought it was just going to be a 1-second call, a few seconds, which we could take care of, but it went from the one topic to the next to the next. I'm sorry about that. I guess I can tell you what's going on. The first part of the topic was something. Then she started talking about the way we're using stamps. It was Ishigami-san. She's one of the shipping ladies over in our Ome shipping center. And shipping problems this year, of course, have been just stupendous. The corona stuff and everything else. Their job has been massively impacted by shipping problems this year. But among the shipping problems is one that is not specifically due to the coronavirus. It's been something that's been building for a few years now. There's a huge shift happening in the world's postal systems. Customs and safety and stuff. It started with the Americans. They were worried about homeland security and stuff, and airplane security and this and that and this and that. And it's not specifically Trump. It dates from before him, and it's been something that's been coming for years and years and years. The Americans have been planning it, and they finally put in place a system this last January where they will not accept the American postal system and things like FedEx and freight and stuff. They will not accept any physical package coming into America that has not been pre-registered with the delivery system, where the information has not been sent in advance. My point is, the post office there doesn't just take a package. Oh, hello Japan, thank you, here's a package, we'll deliver it. They don't do that anymore. Information on the package has to come first. What is it? Who is it for? What's inside? What size is it? What's inside? Where is it expected to go? Blah, blah, blah. And they have to clear it first. They have to accept it. And then the sender, the Japanese FedEx office or the Japanese post office or whatever, can then put it on a plane and send it over there. This came into effect. It's been planning for years, and it came into effect this last January. And they've got a name for it. It's early integrated data. I forget the name for it, whatever. So what it meant was everything has to be electronified. So before we can send a package, before we can send anything to America, our computer system has to talk to the post office computer system with all the details. Who, what, why, where, inside, weight, blah, 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 blah. And when then we print out from their postal system, which then sends to America that data, but then prints out from us packaging labels, blah, blah, this and that, and this and that, and this and that with barcode special numbers. So when we physically take the package to the post office, it's got the postal printed label on it. It's not our own prepared label with our own stamps. It's a pre-printed label from the postal software system. We dump it on the counter, they take it away, and the rest is history. But it means we are not allowed to use postage stamps because the payment is also built into this system. By pre-registering the package with them, the payment details go in and they simply take it out of our bank account a month later. So they think that this is a cool, neat thing. The customer doesn't have to buy postage stamps anymore. Unfortunately for us, our customers want postage stamps on these things. We've been doing this for years. It's a wonderful thing for our customers to get this cool print package from Japan that also has Doraemon stamps on it, stuff like this. It's been a selling point for us for years. But now, because of this new system, we can't use postage stamps. It all has to be paid through their bloody computer system. So we've been wrestling with this. How can we get packages, at least our gift prints, the ones that get sent for Christmas gift prints, how can we get these sent? And it turns out there's a loophole in their system, in that this whole system only applies to packages. It doesn't apply to letters. And it turns out that our small prints, what we call the Hunger Club prints, the gift prints, they're small enough. When you get them all packed up and ready to go in an envelope, they're small enough to fly under the radar as letters, which means we can put a stamp on with an address and just dump it in the mailbox. And the international system takes letters without having to go through this prior notification to make sure there's no drugs or bombs in the package, whatever. So anyway, long story short, her discussion right now is myself and Cameron and the customers are trying to make sure we send these gift prints with stamps. Ishigami-san and the people out there are resisting this because it means they have to run a double system. They've got to keep stamps in a drawer, do some packages this way, and they've got to do some packages the other way. And she's resisting and resisting. And I am anti-resisting and anti-resisting. We got an email just overnight, some customer says, I was so disappointed there were no stamps on the package. Long story short, sorry about that, excuse me. Australia is still tough, I'm sorry. Australia is tough. We're still having huge trouble with Australia. We're not able to use the FedEx solution that we do with JED, sending stuff to America. For America now, for half a year or so, and probably still for quite a time to come, we're batching stuff. All of our small packages destined for customers, we put 50, 60, 100 of them, whatever, into a large box, ship it by FedEx to Jed's house. And when it gets there, Jed and his assistant, they do the thing, they put the American postage on it and they ship it out to America one by one. But that's only possible because America is a bizarre country in that individual packages coming from overseas to individuals, the customs office over there could care less, couldn't care less. So America doesn't ask Jed to pay import duty on this package. It's just like, yeah, personal goods, whatever, in they come, bang. Now this is fine because actually that's the American law. Those personal goods are not dutiable, taxable anyway, so we're not breaking any law here. The package that, if it had gone straight from Japan to the individual customer, it's the same thing. Post office just dumps it on his door, where you go, thank you. There's no customs import duties processed on any of the stuff for America. It's just an easygoing free country, like who cares? When major companies import products from overseas, cars, whatever, they have to go through duties and customs and all that kind of stuff. But America is a lackadaisical, free sort of country, and they don't bother individuals. So this package for us just goes through, they dump it on Jed's doorstep with no customs stuff. And he then takes it and distributes it. That's not possible with any other country on the planet. If we had to do this to Canada or Britain or Germany or Australia or whatever, customs is going to look at that package and say, what have we here? Let's see what's inside. Explain to us all this. Pay duty, pay VAT, pay this and that on all these individual items. It becomes impossible for us to send a package like this to Australia or to Germany or to whatever, because of their very, very tight, very, very strict customs and duty and taxable system. America is still free and easy. So we're now in a situation where we send that box to Jed, and we actually, if we have a package for Australia, we send some of them now. We send it to Jed first. We send to America first. It just crosses the border, goes in, and there it is sitting in Utah. And he now, his assistant now drops it off in the American post office, which is still shipping to Australia. So we ship it to America first. They drop it off at their post office, shipped to Australia. We are paying an arm and a leg for all of these things. We've taken a staggering hit in our income expense calculations this year for postage. Normally the money we collect for postage pretty much balances what we pay for postage. And now, of course, it's not even remotely close. So if you're living in America and you order stuff from overseas, you don't know actually, you don't realize how lucky you are compared to almost anywhere else in the world. There's one here, Fly Fish for Fun is saying, it amazes me I can get a parcel from China before I get one from Maine. Yes, but from April 1st, you are going to find some different news here. There's another change happened in American postage system in that for years and years and years, Asian shippers, Japan, Korea, China, Vietnam, whatever, Asian shippers to America have had a really, not a free ride, but the postal rates have been extremely unbalanced. In the post-war period when these countries over here were struggling, the world decided to give them a break, and postage coming in and postage coming out didn't have to balance. So they've had a free ride, and postage rates from China to America have been historically now for decades so low it's cheaper for a Chinese company in Beijing to send something to your town than from somebody in the next state to send it to your town. And finally, and this happened under the Trump administration, finally they said, look, China, enough of that. This is silly. We're hurting American businesses because it's more expensive to ship within America than it is to ship with China. And they put a bullet in that system. And the new rates come into effect on April the 1st this year. So if you're ordering something from Amazon and it turns out that it's a Chinese supplier, free shipping included, ain't going to happen starting April 1st. And it's affected us too, because rates from Japan to America have in some cases tripled, in some cases quadrupled, and that comes into effect April 1st. We've now wrapped those into our subscription this year. And people look at our subscription page, there used to be 3 zones: Asia, North America, Europe, and then whatever, other parts of South America and stuff like that, Africa. There was 3 zones. Now it's 4 zones. It's the same 3 zones, and America has pulled out. America is its own zone now with staggeringly high postage prices. No, it wasn't the Chinese government subsidizing. It was the international system. It's called the UPU, Universal Postal Union, which sets the rates that are applicable between countries going back and forth and back and forth. Chinese government may have been subsidizing some of their end too, but whatever. But the postage rates simply were artificially depressed. It made sense in 1955. It doesn't make sense. now. And the American government finally, this is common sense. This should have happened many, many, many years ago. So for us to ship to America now is getting extremely, this is nothing to do with Corona. This is the normal thing, the normal setup. And on top of this, we have the Corona problem. No, it became very unbalanced for a long, long period of time. So this thing about us, for American subscribers to our prints, we're shipping in bulk through FedEx. We may actually be even continuing this once the virus problems vis-a-vis transportation are finished. We may still be shipping in bulk to America because the individual package prices have now become so high. Our business, the Asakusa part was destroyed by this, and then right away on top of that, shipping trouble. And then on top of that, this new increase in all the rates. We've really taken some gut punches here this last year, See, that's what we were talking about earlier. This kind of work, doing this, it's possible that the back of the knife, if I'm not careful, the back side of the knife could impact this line. So I really got to be careful. I'm not going to dig in at the edge here. I've got to keep a distance. Wrong way. Difficult. Right around this eye, it's difficult. Show and tell. Oh! No way, no way! Oh, that phone call, I guess. It put my brain on a... Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay. No way, no way. Okay, what we have today, as I said, it's possible this is a repeat. I don't really know. I've never been keeping track of these things. So I was on the phone for like 25 minutes. Sorry about that. So we had extra time, whatever. We'll just look at the thing in whatever time it takes. Whatever time it takes. whatever. Anyway, it's a book. It's a book, it's a book, it's a book. It's a book. This is a treasure, an absolute treasure, an absolute treasure. Would it be worth buying our price increase the next few months? The new price increase is actually, to tell you the truth, the prices on our website right now are the new American prices. We've been taking such a hit on shipping the last little while. I had no hesitation. When they gave us the new prices a month ago, I put them into the website already. So the shipping prices that are showing on our shopping cart right now are included the new American shipping prices. So no, there's no reason for waiting. I've taken this money from you too early. Okay, how are we going to do this? It's a book. It's a physical book. This is not a woodblock print. It's a book. And it's a really special, privately published book. This was published in, have we got a date here? We have a date. It's in this archaic, ancient Japanese system of telling dates. It's 1973. 1973. We don't need anything fixed by our friend John Becker here this time. 1973. And it was written and self-published and self-produced by a group of men. This is really rare. I don't want to tear this and destroy this, but tell me, let me take this off so that I can muck with this book without tearing it. This is actually a rare book in terms of book collecting book, but I don't care about that, but I don't want to spoil it. Here we are. Here we are. And it's Kobayashi-san, and it's Nakajo-sensei, it's Hirai-san, and it's Murata. And these men were printers. And these were the top guns of their era. And they were worried about the loss of the knowledge of how to make barons. So what they did was, they got together all the information that they themselves knew. They canvassed other printers and people that were working in the field, and they put together a manual of how the traditional printer's baron was made. And they self-published it in 1973. And it's everything that they knew about how to make barons. And the information that's in here, this is an absolute gold mine. If they hadn't done this, a lot of this information that would already be gone. They described the kind of bamboo skins that they needed. This is not woodblock. This is an offset printed book, of course. This is not a woodblock printed book at all. It's a book about one of our tools. This is not a piece of woodblock work. But they made the book in the form and the shape of an old book. I mean, these guys had some sense and some sensibility and some taste and whatever. And they go through, and I'm not going to sit here and describe every page. They go through, they show the tools, the die, they use the back side of the chisel to scrape at a certain angle to get the inside of the bamboo skin removed and stuff like this. There isn't anything that they didn't touch. How to tuck the little piece in, and in the descriptions what kind of bamboo and how much to soak it. And she's famous. I've heard about her. This little old lady, I don't remember her name, it's in the book here somewhere. This little old lady who was the top gun, the absolute top gun of how to make these tools. The angle of the light, that's her cat. I didn't realize that. We have our obligatory Japanese cat. I'm sorry, I didn't. I have no idea. There's no artist credited here. These are just illustrations, of how to do this. So look at the idea here. After you have twisted two of these together, how thick, how strong, how floppy should it be? Each strand should be able to stand by itself and straight for 30 centimeters. If it flops over, then you've got this too weak. And it goes on page after page after page of information on how to do this. There's nothing, whatever, this is, whatever, I don't know, Treasures of the Lost Ark. This book for me, absolutely this book for me. Step-by-step description of this process. All the little tricks, the little slot at the end so you can wrap it around when you're doing them 2 by 2. Something else. This one, Goto-san, who is still making Barens, and we argue back and forth on this. In this book, this is the sheet. When you make the actual Baren, the hard part of it, the ategawa, the hard part, made from sheets of washi, Goto-san these days is making it flat. This is taira, hira, flat. It's also possible to make it arched, or also possible to make it this way. And this is what I want for our Barens these days, and he will not make it. No, they never did that. That's not the way it's done. And yes, this was the way it's done. You've got 1 millimeter here, it says. 1 millimeter arch in the middle of this. And when you've got your arch, in this way, then when you're using your tool, it is now arched up a little bit. And it's much, much easier to apply pressure in the middle of the Baren. If this is flat, then this is flat. And you're going to rub all day long, and you cannot get good pressure in the center of this. So this is how it was done. This is 1973. So this is not like the old archaic knowledge that's passed down from the 1700s or whatever. Baren making technology grew and grew and grew, and it was never any better, any higher, any better than what these guys were doing. They've got their descriptions, the circles inside, the pieces of washi that make up this disc, what size they were, what thickness they were, how to put the lacquer on, the little cool technique of shaving it off with the blade using a 500 yen coin underneath that gave you the exact right height for this. The obvious question is, and we are now addressing this question is, okay, we can scan this. Do we have the ability legally to put this onto the internet where everybody can see it? And what's even better than this, once we scan this, if I use an OCR on this, I can throw it to Google Translation, and we can get a rough translation of what this is done, from which we can then crowdsource fixing it up. So that's the question mark for us. Am I legally allowed to put this on the internet? On the face of it, no. Copyright in Japan is death plus 70. I met Nakajo-san. He must have died in, 2000, something like that, 10, 20 years ago. Murata-san died before I came here, so I never met him, or Kobayashi-san. But the point being, the men who created this, they still have copyright in this. But they didn't make any copyright notice. They clearly didn't make any attempt to keep it secret. So I'm thinking we can do this. And what I should do is, if we have a good plan for this, for scanning and doing it, I should maybe visit Nakajo-san's family. We have contact with his family. I don't know if his wife is still alive, I don't know, but he did have family. So at the very least, we could go to Nakajo's family and say, okay, here's what I'd like to do. I want to put this on the net to help, remember your father's name and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. What's the worst they could say no. So maybe what we should do is just do it first. Just do it first. Collect a bunch of, oh, wonderful, this is so helpful, thank you, thank you, thank you. Collect a bunch of that kind of message first. And then go to their family and say, oh, by the way, here's a little gift for you. And also, we think maybe you should know about this. Your father is getting famous and blah, 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 blah. That might be the better way to do it. It would then make it more difficult for them to say no. If we ask permission first, it's easy to say no because it hasn't cost anybody anything. But if we had it up and running and got it all done and collected lots of feedback and made a YouTube video, for them to say no would not be to destroy our work. So it might be simpler for us to do that. So I'm going to put this on the list of things to do for our collection to get this up and running, to get this online. One little bit of a difficulty is the font face that they used for this is a Meiji era type early font face, and the OCR may struggle with this quite a lot. I don't know. We'll see. There's only one way to find out, and that's to do it. There's only one way to find out. Discussing your plans in front of 500 people, whatever. We're not. there's nothing evil being planned here, you know. There's nothing evil being planned here. So, whatever. Okay, I think that's all I got for today. We don't have an actual physical woodblock print show and tell today here. For those of you who are new visitors to us, for dropping by, today has been a really bit of a mixed stream. I'm sorry. If you're thinking this is one of the most boring things I've ever seen, then today you're right, it was. But usually on this Twitch stream of ours, we do actually look at some nice, beautiful prints at the end of it in the last 5, 10, 15 minutes. So give us one more chance. If you've come today and you think this is not so interesting, whatever, come back and give us another chance later on. We're doing this 3 days a week. It's Thursday morning for me now. We do this Saturday morning and Monday mornings. These are Japan times. And it's usually the same sort of thing. A bit of carving, a bit of chat, and then looking at a woodblock print. So, okay, as I said, a bit of a strange stream today. Whatever. We'll wrap it up here. I'll see you again in a couple more days. And hopefully with no interruptions. I'll leave my phone, next time, I'll leave my phone upstairs out of the way so there can't be any more disruptions. So, if it's to be sold, no, I wasn't thinking about selling this book. We're talking about taking this book and scanning it and making it available to everybody to read through the website. I wouldn't even think about trying to make it to sale. And I don't think, this book themselves, I don't think they actually sold this. I think they made this, produced a bunch of copies and distributed it to all the people in the workplace association and stuff like that. It may have been sold, I don't know. Commercial enterprise wasn't their goal back then. So I'm almost certainly we're okay to do this. Almost certainly okay to do this. We'll see. Whatever. Anyway. Okay, thanks so much today. As I said, it's been a strange one, whatever. I'm now going to get a cup of coffee and get some work done. And I'll see you in a couple more days with hopefully a bit more of a stable stream. Thanks very much for watching. Let me put the outside view up just before we leave. The bicycle's still there. I don't know. It's one of two things. It's somebody who went to the bar street last night, came by bicycle, and then when they finished their drinking, they either forgot that they had come by bicycle, in which case they will come back today and pick it up, or they were too drunk to actually ride home by bicycle, in which case probably they will come back today and pick it up either way. So we'll see how it goes. The bike will almost certainly disappear sometime in the next couple of hours. Another beautiful day in Asakusa. Okay, thanks for now. See you in a couple more days. Thank you very much. Bye-bye for now.